Right here on WLOU. Streaming live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, the Tipping Point Show.
What is going on? Once again, family, it's yet another week, another day, another Saturday. You will never get this particular Saturday back in November. It is yours truly, Mr. Just As Joe, and my brother from the same Mother Earth, Brother John Yah, Esoteric Concepts. Brother, how you doing this morning?
Peace, brother. How about yourself this morning?
Man, I am fantastic and just enjoying this beautiful sun that is already out this morning, man. I love it. Absolutely, man. Man, you got something on your mind, man? You sounding a little bit perplexed about something. What's going on? You all right?
No, actually, I got a new headset. Can you hear me clear?
I can hear you loud and
struggling
clear, brother.
with getting the right headset. Good. Yeah, I've been struggling trying to find the right headset that can work with us in this journey that we're doing here on the radio. But anyway, everything's good my way. A lot of work been going on, trying to do some transition here at my warehouse. Trying to actually create a new workspace. Hopefully, bring in another help to help us produce these new car fragrances that we're about to roll out with. So other than that, I would love to give a shout out to those.
Are you hiring? Is should we put that out there?
Yeah. Well, because actually I'm gonna bring in my niece. Try to look at family members first. Those who I want to bring in. I have a niece that needs a position, so I'm looking to bring her in. Of course, she worked for me before, and so looking to bring the niece in and see how she works things out.
You know, I had someone recently tell me that family was not good to bring in, whereas I typically try to look at family first, and it was actually a family member that told me that. They said, don't hire family. What do you think about that?
Well, that's not absolutely true. There is some saying in that, and where it really comes from is when you start a business, you're looking for your family is the least to support you in that term. However, you will have family members, those who look up to you. I think my nieces have a certain respect for me. They worked for me before, and so and she did a great job. So it's all different. I think it's based upon your relationship with your family. I can say for some parts, maybe the individual may not have a good relationship with their family, but sometimes, in some cases, I have read that family was the greatest support. And my immediate family is the greatest support. My daughter, and those in my circle. So, that could be a partial truth, and that truth may be a reflection of the business owner himself and his relationship with his family.
Wow. Okay. So something to think about. I need to throw that back at them that made that comment. Now, you wanted to give a shout out real quick. What was that about?
Yeah, wanted to give a shout out to those who are still in resistance. Now we're coming up on Thanksgiving, the fast food season, and of course, you and I are always talking about people taking care of their health because of this quote unquote disease that is trickling around. So, this is coming up. And so what I want to do is basically give a shout out to those who are resisting, who are refusing to take the shot. And those of you who have taken the shot, who are having second thoughts about taking the shot again, to focus on your health and improve your mentality. Now, I do want to report this. It's very important. If you look at people, I did a little search and looking at what the food having lacking nutrition. Why is the food today lacking nutrition? So if you look back in the day, back in the 60s or the 50s, now the people ate the same junky way, donuts, and cakes and pies, but they weren't over as obese as we are are today. What is the difference? The difference today is that you're eating foods lacking nutrition, even if you're eating an apple. They say that to eat an apple today, to get the same nutrition out of the apple back then, you'd have to eat 10 apples. Right? So what are we talking about? We're actually talking about the minerals in the food. And why is that? Because the ground is depleted of minerals. And so, yes, the fruit or the vegetable still may grow, but it will be lacking minerals. And so minerals is what your body really desires. So you see a person who's overweight and they're still hungry, they are actually malnutritious for minerals. So there's this mineral substance that's called fulvic, F-U-L-V-I-C, fulvic acid, which has trace minerals in it. It has over 70 trace minerals. It's the same almost as though when people are talking about sea moss. Sea moss has probably over 92 trace minerals in it, right?
And there's
So
a lot of foods that have a lot of foods have folic acid in it, right?
Folic acid. This is fulvic, which is Fulvic, which is in the soil, right?
Okay.
And so it's the minerals that's in the soil that is missing in today's food. So this is why you got a lot of foods that are now GMO hybrid foods, and then you also have the ground itself depleting of nutrients, and that plays a role because your food gets its nutrients from the soil. If the soil is no good, that fruit or vegetable still may grow, but it's lacking trace mineral that your body needs, right? And so plays a role where people staying hungry all the time and overeating, and next thing you know, they are overweight and what we call fat.
So that's interesting because I've had someone say before, when it comes to health and wellness, that a lot of people are going to the wrong person for the wrong thing. So, for instance, but the majority of people out here are malnourished, meaning they're not nourished properly. So ultimately, you go to your doctor, and your doctor prescribes you a pill for something, as opposed to fixing the underlying issue. So, like you said, if a person is malnourished in the sense that they're not getting enough nutrition, then ultimately they probably should go to a nutritionist before they go to a traditional MD, because a traditional MD would be like going to the plumber to have them come fix your computer, right? uh, they could probably do it, but it's they may not really solve the underlying issue, right? And with that being said, then I think you're spot on when it comes to that, because we're a nation, and this westernized uh, thought process is traveling around the world, around the globe, but we're becoming a nation of people that are malnourished. We just don't get the right nutrient value, and we're eating things that we don't really know what it is. I'm a big proponent of looking up ingredients. So I stay away from things that have yellow number 5 in it, because that causes impotence and birth defects, just like polysorbate 80, causing birth defects and different things. So, when you look at this stuff, uh, you take ice cream, propylene glycol in it, right? So it never really freezes. It's still soft, but that's antifreeze, right? So there's a food grade synthetic version, but nobody's sitting back saying, what is that? That antifreeze won't kill you right away. That small trace amounts won't kill you right away. But who's doing the research on how that applies to a person eating small doses of it over 30, 40, 50 years, however old they are, right? If a dog tips over a container of antifreeze in the garage and licks that stuff up because it's sweet, well, guess what? They die. So, we're just getting it in small doses over a number of years. And you're right, this is that fat season. If you are a person that is out there resisting getting the shot, let me tell you something. Don't resist. and then go have a poor diet. All right, that would be a fail. All right. If you're going to resist, then you need to be compensating your body with a certain level of health, wellness, nutrition, vitamin D supplements, vitamin C supplements, adding an overabundance of nutrition into your diet if, in fact, you're going to resist the shot, because you're a person that believes in freedom of choice, right? So just think about that, folks. Focusing on health and wellness is becoming something that we should be doing. And I saw someone recently post something that I thought was very interesting. They said if the government really cared about your health, they would be mandating things along those lines. They would be mandating, supplements. They would be mandating things that actually help you have a healthier body, but they don't. So obviously, that's not the case, right?
That's a fact. In fact, you know, the government, obviously don't care about your health. And of course, that's an individual thing. So they're going to serve the food out there for you. Problem is that you have to learn to resist. And the number one thing I think we always talk about is the sugar content. That's something that also plays a role in lowering your immune system and making you weak. And so what you want to do basically is focus on foods that are lacking sugar and foods that are giving you the nutrients that you need. This is why it's so important. Take supplements because you're eating foods lacking certain minerals. So people have to take a vitamin D, a vitamin B12, a vitamin B6, and other vitamins, vitamin D3, because we're lacking something natural. And the problem is that people just don't want to take the time as we enter this Google world. See, back in my days, people read. We're living in a microwave society where everybody wants something real fast. Nobody wants to do any real research on anything anymore. They just want somebody to tell them. This is why certain health coaches or life coaches or people are popping up because people just want somebody to give them just a short version of it. Like me and myself and Frank would talk about. Someone would come in and say, "Hey, I have a problem. Do you have a pill?" No, it ain't a damn pill. It's about you changing your life, and that's the work people don't want to do. They just want a pill to fix the problem. Your person says, "Hey, I got high blood pressure." Okay, well, this is what you need to stop eating, and this is what you need to start eating, and you see the look on their face because really all they want was just a pill. They want to
Yeah.
keep eating the crappy food. They don't want to stop eating it,
Yeah.
right? Because they're addicted to it. They don't want to address the addiction because to address the addiction means you got to put in the work. And people don't want to put in the work. People don't want to read.
So,
People
so
don't want
that
to study.
that boils down to
They don't pick up
convenience.
books
Then
anymore.
people want
Exactly.
convenience. That's it. You know.
If you ask if everybody who's listening ask yourself what book are you reading right now? What book do you have that is benefiting you either financially or physically? And do you see the book that you're reading every day that you're into? In most cases, those of you who are listening, no, you're not reading a book. You're not studying something that is more helpful for you. You're just waiting on someone to tell you what to do, and that becomes the problem because why? Those who control the media will control your mind, which is about what this next step is going to be about when we talk about the images that are placed in front of us
Absolutely,
from
absolutely.
Hollywood.
Hey, listen, when you talk about images, think about this. The stem of a strawberry. Now I eat strawberries with the stem. I watch the whole thing, right? The stem of a strawberry has more vitamin C in it than the actual fruit itself or the meat itself, right? When you look at that, now, image is everything. So they cut off the stems of the strawberry because supposedly it looks better. That's the reason why the mainstream does it, right? That's the reason why they do it. They don't do it for any health value. They do it because it looks better when they're doing commercials and everything else. That strawberry looks better, and to tell a person to not eat the stem or what have you. Um, think about how much vitamin C over a number of years a person is missing out on, how much natural vitamin C they're missing out on because they cut the stem off. Now, when I eat the strawberry with the stem, you know what it tastes like, John?
Strawberry.
Absolutely. It tastes just like strawberry. You know what I mean? Because you're getting that flavor there, and that stem is nothing more than greenery. You know, like eating kale or something like that. Except I got this sweet juice of the strawberry along with it. So image is something that you know the powers that be portray an image to us. You know, and that's a bit of a problem. I know for a fact, as much as I love shopping at some places like Whole Foods and things of that nature, I know for a fact that they purposely make sure that if a banana gets a brown spot or anything on it, which is ripening, they pull that banana off the shelf. They don't want you to see that. That's part of their marketing image of having this beautiful you know plethora of foods there, but in a sense that could be harming people's understanding of you know real flavor, real looks of something. You know, the image, it's all about the image, you know. And so you know sometimes that seems to be a bit of a problem even as you start talking about you know our show topic of the day. But before we get into that, I just want to give a big shout out to Vanessa Sigerman. She made a comment that I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but she says, have you ever heard of old folks eating dirt, especially red dirt? You know, I'm assuming
Yeah.
for
Uh-huh.
nutritional value. I mean, I've heard of mud pies, but I just thought that that's what kids did to play around. But I didn't know that that was a real thing. Is that was that back in the day a sense of nutrition?
Well, you have minerals, and so what they're seeking is the minerals. They're not seeking to get full. Like we eat today to get full, to get the belly full, and where we feel tight up in here. That's what we eat, right? We eat for that purpose. We don't eat for actual nutrition. So yes, people who are aware of the red dirt, they are aware of the minerals there, and they like you eating a whole plate of dirt, but they are aware of the trace minerals that are in the soil, right? Because that is really where your vitamins and stuff comes from. And this is what feeds the foods that you eat. You have to pay close attention to the soil. And if you notice what we're doing today, we're spraying chemicals on the soil. And so now you have to change the seed so that the seed can grow in the soil. And so this is why Monsanto is controlling the seeds. A lot of other companies are too, just not now Monsanto. But you have to now use see fruitless, see seedless fruits, right? Because the natural seeds are incapable of growing inside this environment. And even if I had a farm and you had a farm right next door to mine, and I sprayed my plants or my produce with chemicals, guess what those chemicals are going to do? They're going to roll over to your farm as you don't put a block there. And now my chemical will destroy your natural seeds because my seeds are designed to survive the chemical. And this is what we're eating today. We just don't understand what GMO and what they're doing to the food that's making it grow the way it's growing. So if you take away the seed and you can't grow your own seeds, well, guess what? You're subject to go back to Monsanto to continue to buy seeds so that you can grow your vegetables.
Yeah, man. I think they're part of some companies out there that are actually hoarding seeds. They're buying up the rights to seeds and hoarding the seeds, which is interesting. I've even seen cases, lawsuits with Monsanto and surrounding farmers wherever they might have their farmland and their GMO stuff is blowing over into other farms
Correct.
and you know then they're trying to commandeer these other farms because incidentally their GMO stuff is growing on these other farmers' farms. It's ridiculous, man. But hey, as we get into this conversation, shout out Vanessa Sigerman, shout out Grand Rising Phyllis Myers, shout out Frank Stoner, Grand Rising brother, Kari Muhammad, what up? Listen, as we look at this biz buzz, Shalom. Let's see who else is out there paying attention with us. online there. We got a few different people, man. But look at some of these comments. Everything is to be eaten all year. Food is seasonal. When I was younger, we would have different vegetables based on the season. That's Bizbuzz there. Kari Muhammad says, my grandmother used to eat in season and preserved certain foods. I was too young to know how important it was to pick up on that wisdom. BizBuzz once again says fraud labeling, sugar free, low fat, no GMO, all natural ingredients. I mean, think about it. That's a big one right there, John. You can pick up a some type of, let's say it's a juice or something. Let's say the flavor is guava juice, right? Now it's not 100%. It's mixed, but then when you look in the ingredients list, you'll see guava puree as listed in the ingredients, but you'll also see something else listed in the ingredients. You'll see natural ingredients listed in the ingredients list. You'll see the phrase or the words natural ingredients as an ingredient listed there. And what a lot of people don't realize, I mean, think about it. In my mind, my common sense tells me, well, you already listed the actual fruit, the guava puree. What is this natural ingredients listed in here? And what I've learned is that that's a formula. So they're able to hide things back in the formula. They in a lot of cases, let's say for instance, uh what is it that we stay away from that's in like bouillon and those little bouillon cubes and the Chinese use it a lot in
Salt,
cooking. um uh what is it? It's right on the tip of my tongue, but it's I've learned that uh
soy or sulfur.
not soil or sulfur. It'll come to me here in a bit, but you know there's a way to hide stuff back and put it back in the foods that they say is now removed because these formulas that they're creating are now just listed under one term as natural ingredients and things of that nature. So it's just kind of sad if you're not out here focused on trying to grab real fruits and vegetables. I'll be the first person to make something. We made a gumbo the other day, and instead of grabbing a boxed, packaged gumbo mix, I said, nah, let's just take the seasonings and let's just make our own gumbo. So the idea is just, if anything, if you're gonna have this, that, or the other, at least use some real ingredients, real herbs, real spices. Create that yourself because it's easier and you can walk away feeling a little more proud of that meal that you're feeding your family because if anything, you at least know that you use some real ingredients there rather than grabbing that packaged stuff. But getting into the topic of the day, man, as we're talking about when you look in the mirror, what do you see? Has Hollywood gone a little bit too far when it comes to hyper-sexualized images versus the real people that are being portrayed? Now, you brought up a good point with a particular movie that's out now, right? What's the name of that movie?
Yes. The harder they fall.
The harder they fall. MSG. There you go, Vanessa. That's exactly what I was thinking of. MSG. There you go, Frank. Appreciate that.
MSG. Yes.
Yeah, monosodium glutamate. Yes, yes. They'll remove it and say non-included because that's how the marketing is. That's the trend, the health trend. But then you look back and you start digging deep into what natural ingredients is, and it's a formula where they could put MSG right back in the foods, right? But either way, as we talk about this movie, the harder they fall. Um, now that's a new movie that's out, and it's a western, and it's all about the melanated community, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it's about the melanated community, and but the thing about it is that these are real characters, right? Now Hollywood has a thing when it comes to taking real characters and not using They're real images, but using a better looking, sexier, um, and I guess in a sense, what one would say, an easier on the eye image when you compare it to the
Mm.
original image, right? The original person. So the question is, why do we do that? Why does Hollywood do that? And then why do we allow it? My first thought, John, is that sex sells. What do you think?
Well, yes, of course it does. But when you mention the word um, easier on the eye, see, that's the catch because we're talking about lens, and we're talking about what lens are you using to watch this movie with. You see, so I've noticed that when I put out a post and it just created this discussion about the movie itself. Now, first of all, let me say this: I'm not a moviegoer. I don't watch movies, and my family who are listening knows for a fact I don't watch movies. I don't go to movies. I don't. We don't have television to watch anything that unless we want to watch something, meaning like a documentary or something. But I pay close attention to what I'll allow into my space, particularly my brain, because I understand marketing. So I'm not a moviegoer. That's number one. So I put out an article or I put a post out that was talking about that movie, and it was kind of made me raise my eyebrows to an image of Mary Fields, how she really looks, compared to uh, uh, Zazie Beats, right? The young lady, the beautiful young lady, right? Now, notice that when I use that word, what we call is beauty, what is attractive, but then what is unattractive? And so now we got to go into what is unattractive. Because why? Because there are people out there like the sister, and I forget her name. I meant to look it up. The sister that now she plays, and she's one of the members of Saturday Night Live, where she talks about herself, how movies and roles was passed her up because she's unattractive, right? So who's doing this unattractive look thing, and where do we get these lenses from? I mean, she's still a human being, right? And so she can play any role that she is not only comfortable in, but in her talent. So when I'm looking at this movie, you see uh, the Dazzy looking very attractive, with her. And I never knew what Mary Fields really looked like, as by the way. And so, this young lady, she's very sexy looking with her shoulders out, and got a little breast showing and nice jewelry on. And when you look at the real image, then that's sort of disturbing. And it doesn't matter whether it is a black producer or not, because what we're doing is we're distorting our own images to ourselves. Are we ashamed of who we really are? Are we somehow just don't like our dark skin, big lips? We just hate our nappy, groovy hair that we don't want to see it on the screen. So someone made the statement that she's beautiful, and it draws me to the movie. So the question is, you didn't come to learn, you came because of a beautiful woman. That's a problem in society because here's what happens to our young women and our little girls. This is why you have an increase of buttocks, gasoline in the butt, breast implants. This is why we have women shooting their lips up. I mean, black women are doing it. This is why we have women wearing eyelashes, looking all like they're deers now, antlers and stuff, right? Because we have this over-sexual society to where we are putting this on it. And men, you're the problem. You're the problem running around. Which woman is attractive? What woman is it? And you got women trying to follow that behavior and trying to keep up with your ass because you run around her chasing everything that's loose, right? The bigger the butt, the better it is, right? And so then you got women chasing this behavior, and they are killing themselves trying to do what? Please us. And so it's all in Hollywood. So Hollywood feeds us what a woman attractiveness should look like. What is a pretty woman? Right? What is a sexy looking woman? And so now we got a bunch of kids running around we can't take care of. Why? Because we're over sexualized. We're not talking about building family. We're just talking about having sex. And it's in our music, it's in our low vibrational tones that are drawing this out. And so are we perpetuating our own demise because Hollywood is only giving us what we want? Right? They're not feeding us what we don't want. They know you put a woman up there. Well, here's a question. Here's a question. Will we not find the movie just as interesting if we had unattractive people who actually mimics the role they were playing back then? Even in the clothes. If you look at the clothes that Mary wore, them unattractive clothes. You mean to tell me Hollywood couldn't went to the museum and found some of the dirtiest looking clothes that they were wearing back then during the struggle? Are we that blind that we can only be entertained through sex? If someone said on my post, oh, they learned a lot in the movie. It was really educational. But yet, so then therefore they didn't have to use the sex image. If you take away the sex image, would you have still been interested in learning? If not, you're the problem. And that's it.
Hey man, shout out to Johnny Wakefield. She says, let's all take a look at Lil Kim Queen B. Um, that is an example right there. You threw out there, you went there, you said eyelashes flapping around looking like I mean, they make them fake eyelashes to put on people's cars and make the cars look like a person, put over the lights, and looks like a person's face or something. And those eyelashes on the ends of those cars is about as big as the eyelashes that some women put on their eyeballs, on their eyelids, and it's horrific. I don't know why. I don't understand it, to be honest with you. The fake eyebrows that are big, wide, rectangle fake eyebrows. You know, Essentially the women look like doll babies. That's what's happening. They look like fake doll babies. And you mentioned somebody like Lil Kim. That that woman, and I threw up a picture the other day about Michael Jackson from before and after. He was a smooth looking brother, groomed beard, curly hair, dark skin. Next thing you know, the image that I put beside him was much more recent. And good Lord, I mean, it's like night and day, literally. But I don't understand where we get these ideas of image and that looking good. It doesn't look good. I don't think that most men out there look at some of those images and say, hey, uh that's the woman I want to be with for the rest of my life. I think more so sex sells, and a man might look and say, that's the woman I want to be with tonight. You know what I mean? More than anything else.
Right, because here's what. Because here's why. It represents low self-esteem. And so you got men out here that are looking for low self-esteem women. They're not looking for high self-esteem women. You can go find low self-esteem women swinging on a pole, right? And men go to those places and just throw money at them, right? And it ain't the woman he wants to marry. That's the woman he just wants one sex with, or sex when he gets it, right? And you have to have low self-esteem. So you have a low self-esteem man attracting and chasing low self-esteem women because why? They look easy. So if a woman got her butt out, if a woman got her breast out, if a woman got all these eyelashes, all this makeup on, she look easy. She looks very easy to have sex with. And so therefore, that's what certain men are attracted to. We're doing this behavior to ourselves. And this is why I'm so glad we're having a great show next week, because we're going to have a sex therapist on to talk about this problem, this over-sex problem that we're dealing with inside these movies and inside our heads.
Hey man, I can't wait till next week's show, because that's gonna be an amazing show with because we're gonna dig in a little bit, and we even have to put a disclaimer out there because it could be triggering for some people. I'm not gonna say just women, but we're gonna talk about some things. We're gonna talk about trauma. We're going to talk about trauma from when people are younger, and how it plays out as an adult. But this show right here today is definitely a prelude to that, because when you start looking at how the ideology of sex and these images and how they play a part in people's psyche, then now you're really talking about some serious stuff. Let's look at this. We'll look at a couple things online. Um, Shallow, delusional, materialistic. We've gotten too far from reality, faith, structure, and boundaries. Let's see. That was shout out BizBuzz. Vanessa, we can't seem to be entertained unless sex is involved. We used to play games at home, cards, board games. That's no longer interesting. And but well, even when you look at that, technology plays a part in that as well, because technology is the idea of convenience. And now if you're caught up playing video games and this, that, and the other, you ain't about to drop them remote controls or them controllers to the video games to go play some cards or to go play some board games. Of course that would no longer be interesting, because your mind is moving so much faster now as you are sitting here jumping into this fake world of a video game, and using your fake person to do a whole bunch of fake stuff that you'd never do in real life. Enter in metaverse and Facebook's new universe that they are creating and coming out with. This will be a live Sims. And I'm going to tell you what, there's a lot of people talking about how they're not going to get involved. Guess what? You're lying to yourself, because there will be a lot of people that will get involved. Let's see. If it's a woman's choice, this is Kari Muhammad. If it's a woman's choice regarding abortion, and we believe that men should have no say in it, we have to have the same belief across the board and allow women to have their choice of what they want to do with their bodies without men's input. Interesting thought there.
I would like let's address that.
Yeah, go
Let's
ahead.
address that. That's very interesting. Because when we say that, when we make that statement, I totally agree about the choice individuals have, specifically women. And yes, men should stay out of that area. However, with that said, here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with validating the luthless sex. So, in other words, men and women are both involved in this ideal. Would it be an issue of abortion if we did not have sex at all? Would it be an issue of abortion if we were careful of how we have our sexual intercourse? So is there now a responsibility? Why wait and commit an act, and then she gets pregnant, then you address the issue? Why not address it before she get pregnant? What, there was no condoms around? There was no use of any thought to this?
There was no condoms, and they couldn't wait. No condoms, and they couldn't wait.
Right, is it? When we talk about sex, do we throw out common sense? And just somehow it just blows my mind that you have this right to have all the sex you want with no responsibility, because there are abortion clinics everywhere. Well, guess what? Have plenty of sex. Oh, if you mess up, don't worry about it. There's an abortion clinic around the corner. And so here's the thing. If I have sex with a woman, and let's say it's an intentional somebody I'm with, and I created that in her womb too, right? Do I not have a say to say whether I would like for that baby to exist or not? And do I have responsibility, or do I just have sex with her and leave and allow her to make all the decisions? Either way it goes, we're talking about a mental illness that will continue to push under the rug. The problem is your responsibility when you are having sex. Where's the responsibility? And where's the self-reliance of understanding that your penis ain't to just be thrown in any vagina or any behind? It is actually a part of you sharing something with someone that is spiritual. And we don't get that, because while somebody's pushing, and listen to this, somebody's making money off every time we drop a child at the abortion clinic. Somebody's making money off us having loosely unresponsible sex. Condoms are everywhere. Condoms are free. Did you know that right now they're starting to have pass out condoms to children in school, in elementary school? They can already start that, right? So here we have other people teaching our kids about sex, no responsibility. We're having babies everywhere, dropping kids out. I see a woman walking walking, waiting on the bus, pushing a baby in a little raggedy carriage, walking the baby, and pregnant with another one. And here she's catching the bus. Something's wrong with that picture if you don't see that. This is why rich people have less kids, poor people have the most. What are we? Just sexing our way to enjoyment? I don't get it. You know, is that all you here for? Is just have sex?
Brother,
So the problem is we are not having responsibility.
absolutely. There's a brother that recently died over the last sometime within the last few weeks. I forget his name, but one of my partners told me that he died. You know, he died in the streets, living that life, and he had 36 kids, I believe it is. 36 kids. Now, the amount of insurance that you would need in order to leave something behind for 36 kids. That's just absolutely ridiculous when you really think about that. You know, I mean, man, can we get a $3 million policy, bro? With that in mind, bro, it's crazy when you start talking about that because what people aren't realizing is, for instance, how jails are calculated. All right. So they look at certain neighborhoods, certain communities, and in elementary school, they calculate how many jails and how many cells and things they will need because they're going off statistics. There's been enough years of the same BS happening to where now they can calculate things and statistically come up with how many jails they will need because one thing always leads to another. So if you have a certain number of irresponsible abortions happening, then that means that there's a certain number of irresponsible people out there, which means that as we start having a certain abundance of children being born within those same irresponsible communities, then that's going to lead to a certain number of irresponsible people, which in turn means that they will need a certain amount of jail cells for the statistics of those irresponsible people. And I'm gonna give pay some bills here real quick, and then we're gonna come back and read some more of these comments. I want to make sure that everybody knows that as we're talking about this health and wellness, you need to hit up healthdaddywow.net. Remember, again, that's healthdaddywow.net. All right. That's brother Frank Stoner there. And love what you're doing over there, brother. Again, healthdaddywow.net. He does it with a certain level of passion as it pertains to helping the community. Remember, healthdaddywow.net. All right. You can get all the supplements and things that you need. And as you check them out, guess what? You can stop by. They're right off Ralph Avenue here in Louisville, Kentucky. So if you are local, then you can definitely check them out. And they've got all type of different things, even outside of supplements and such. You got some wonderful beads and crystals and all type of cool stuff that you can go and check out. Just remember, let them know that you heard it right here on the Tipping Point Show. Again, that's healthdaddywow.net. Now, once again, you can hit sayababa.com up. That's SYABABA.com. Once again, folks, that's sayababa.com. That is the Abibi Tumi Trading Company, right? And you want to check them out because at that point, then you've got incense that are in over 400 locations. Definitely at a store near you, and literally the best incense in the tri-state area. And we may go as far as to say in the galaxy, folks. These may be the best incense in the galaxy. I know that at some point soon, at a convenience store on Mars, you will probably find those incense. But just remember, SYABABA sayababa.com, folks. And lastly, godslivesmatter.com, folks. You want to check them out because, again, if you love that purple shirt that is talking about how every human being has infinite value. All right. So godslivesmatter.com. That's what they talk about it. That's all about. That's what that shirt means. When you say God's lives matter, we're talking about white, black, yellow, and blue. You understanding the God in you and understanding that your life does matter and that you have value. So just remember, folks, godslivesmatter.com. As we jump back into the conversation here, brother.
And look at that before you close out with that. The words are you have value. And I want you women to hear this. This is extremely important. You have value despite what men think of you from a sex lore desire. You have value. Raise that vibration, and he'll raise his vibration. Guaranteed.
Man, yes. And just remember, women, ladies, your value is not all in your booty. Okay. So when you jumping online taking them pictures, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know what you're thinking, but I can tell you what brothers are thinking when they see those pictures, and the only thing you can do is look over your shoulder, showing your booty from behind. Okay, so that ain't where all your value is. Okay, so understand that. And brothers are not looking at it from a value standpoint when they see those pictures. I want to let everybody know as well, 502-776-1350. You can call in if you have a question, you want to chime in on the topic. 502-776-1350. We got about 13 minutes left. 502-776-1350. Johnny Wakefield, society is oversexed, overdrugged, overdepressed, and overdumbed down. And it all sells and makes money and is the demise of us, but we don't see it. Folks, there's not another culture out there that likes to take the worst of themselves and put it out in front for everybody to see. No other culture does that. We do it in the rap videos and everything else. We like to take the worst of ourselves, the stuff that most other people like to push to the side and keep quiet and not show and work on in quiet. We like to take it and put it out for the world to see. And now everybody thinks that that's what we are. Percocet, 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 right? Black people have become the Esau. BizBuzz says, I used to watch the news as a child with my parents. We would play a game. Not one of us. Stories about crimes, abuse was always not one of us. All right, so gotta get a little clarity on that. And again, big shout out to you, brother John. Everybody's saying, speak, John, teach, brother. Lots of good comments on that. And y'all do know they are teaching children about some sex and anal sex. It's disgusting. I've heard that conversation as well. They're starting to talk about that. I think you posted that video and we actually shared it online here, right? It was a lady who was talking about how she did not want, it was a book that was in school libraries, elementary school library. And in the book, they talked about anal sex. And she was like, dude, I don't want my child, my elementary school child, learning about anal sex. That's not cool. We talked about that before, I think, right?
Yes, we did. We talked about it in the sense that anal sex is not sex, actually. It's only ejaculation in the buttocks. Sex is sexual intercourse. You only have one sex organ, and the asshole is not one of them. Okay, and so what you're doing is you're allowing the turn up of the fine muscles around the anus. And when you rip those muscles up by pushing something through it, guess what you will have when you grow up?
Pushing
You'll be
something
wearing
through the
diapers
wrong
because
way.
you won't be able to. Wait a minute. You'll be wearing diapers because you won't have the muscles to hold your stool, because you continue to pump something up your behind that causes your muscles to fall apart. Now your poop just runs out. So it's not good for your health to continue to have to practice anal sex. And ladies, please listen to this. pay close attention, and and maybe this is a call out to some brothers, and it may not be. I don't know. But if you have a brother that rather have anal sex opposed to the vagina, beware. Because an asshole is an asshole, and you can find an asshole anywhere. They all feel the same. So beware of that.
Bruh, you went there. you absolutely went there.
I couldn't help it.
You did go there. Hey, BizBuzz says we have killed more babies than cops and gangbanging, right? We've taken neighbor out of the word neighborhood, and now we just have hoods. Johnny Wakefield says,
fact.
Yep, absolute fact. Johnny Wakefield says, it blows my mind how many black women will actually take time to post booty pics and vagina pics online just for attention. That is trauma and low self-esteem screaming out. And guess what? Next week, we're going to talk about some of that trauma.
We're going to talk about that. Exactly.
We're going to go there. Because I know I can talk about experiences with women and those, because I get when I date, man, I get to know everything. I get to know the woman's poop habits, everything. Like I'm trying to make sure that everything is coming out all right, right? So I had those conversations about trauma and things of that nature, and I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I've found in a more majority that have had traumatic sexual instances when they were younger, and you see how it plays out in them as they get older. Now, let's see, it would always be a so-called white person committing the crimes and not one of us. All right. Let's see here. And men, too, stop having anal sex with other men because y'all will be in diapers at an early age as well. That's absolutely anybody who's putting stuff, in a majority in the booty the wrong way instead of stuff coming out. Guess what? After a while, the stuff that's coming out gonna just come out like rainfall. It's just gonna fall out. You be walking down the street one day and just boop, like, oh damn, you know what? You doing more than sharted. You didn't just dropped it all out. Like, oh damn, I didn't even know. Sorry, but there eventually needs to be a conversation about men having sex with men. I mean, what is going on in this world? Well, I mean, I guess the same conversation would be had about women having sex with women, and I think that's an ongoing conversation because we're just talking about homosexuality. But at the same time, I mean, think about it. Even the Pope has come out and accepted homosexual relationships, homosexual marriage. I mean, that's crazy when the Vatican is now accepting of homosexuality, when the Vatican the finger has been pointed at them for years. When you start talking about homosexuality, right? It was always the priest somewhere banging little boys or whatever, right? And that's interesting. And that goes into some of the topic that we're going to talk about next week is the sex drive of a man, because you didn't hear as much about nuns, having sex with the little girls and whatnot. You heard more about the men, the priest, having sex with little boys, right? And so that makes me think about the sexual appetite of a man. And in those instances, just like in jail, all those men have around is other males, right? Other men or little boys in that case. So then if they still
have interesting.
Go ahead.
It's interesting, men being engaged together don't make them homosexual. Let's be clear.
Of course.
And so the act of that comes from somewhere else, meaning it comes from the behavior. And so what we need to address when we talk about the Pope or whatever, what we need to address is the little boys who are being penetrated while they're little boys. And that's the discussion that we're going to have next week. of how does that affect a man when he grow up? Just the same as a woman who was penetrated when she was a little girl. Do you know that it will affect how she has sex when she grow up? Whether she feels comfortable, whether she likes sex, or whether she just having sex too loosely. Same with a young man. If a young man is having an attraction to the opposite sex, chances are he was touched when he was little, whether he remembered it or not. But the point is that these behaviors we need to address, specifically in the black community, because for years, we've been sweeping pedophilia amongst us under the rug as though it doesn't exist, and it does exist.
And you know, part of that goes back into this culture of not seeking out therapy, right? You know,
Right.
we don't like to talk about it. We've created this thing where we don't talk about those issues, those problems, or anything like that. So when you start looking at that, then ultimately we sweep it under the rug, like you said. And the thing about sweeping stuff under the rug, bro, is it's still there. You know, it's absolutely still there. It's just the rug after a while just keeps piling up higher and higher and higher with all the stuff under it, and eventually stuff's gonna start peeking out from under that rug. And you know,
it continues.
I've seen it in cases where either and it's a 50-50 chance of which way a person's gonna go. Either they will be extremely well reserved and just a very meek individual, having to force themselves to uh, be in public. You know, I've seen that as to a way that someone's trauma has played out as they became an adult. I've seen it to where they are a woman has a sexual appetite greater than a man's, you know, sexual appetite, and they're much more promiscuous as they get older and things of that nature. So you know, I feel like I mean, and then so now we're starting to talk about what is normal. You know, is there a middle ground of having a healthy sexual appetite versus you know the opposite. So you know that's gonna be a conversation next week, man. We're gonna have a great show revolving around that. Kari Muhammad says movies about drug dealers created drug dealers and drug culture. Homosexual movies created guys or gays and homosexuals and homosexual culture. Hey, there is a documentary about nuns who were raping young girls on Netflix. Ooh, that's interesting because again, you don't hear about that. You know, let's see. We don't talk about that at all. And therapy has a bad phobia. Shout out to Charlemagne the God for bringing that out more and talking about therapy and things of that nature. I follow that brother. He's got some wisdom behind him. I ain't gonna lie. And you know, he's brought out the ideology of seeking therapy in the black community, and it is now becoming more of a thing. And we need that because just the trauma of being black in America and the images as how we're portrayed and not and you know what we don't seek to be and all of that stuff, that's traumatic enough. Now you add in all these other things within the community itself, then man, you talk about a people that definitely need to sit down and have some open conversations with a therapist. Absolutely. Any last words
Exactly.
before we
Yeah.
jet out of here, bro?
Last words. Listen, everyone. Again, here we coming up on the approach of the fat eating day. Let me say the day that you just get absolutely boring to get fat. Pay attention to the foods you're eating. Try your best to have a detox where you can remove all that mess out of you. Eat a lot of green foods as much as possible. Stay away from foods that are not going to do you any good. Stay away from all the fatty foods. And unfortunately, you just have to push yourself away from that table altogether. The macaroni and cheese and all of that mucus puff making food. So
Right.
stay away from that and continue to stay on your health.
All right, folks. You can catch us on the after show here on YouTube Live or Facebook Live as well. We'll see you next week right here, same place, same time on WLOUonline.com and 104.7 FM and 1350 AM right here, WLOU Radio. It's the Tipping Point Show. We'll see you next week.
Let's see here. Right, Brett, you there?
Yeah.
All right, all right, all right. Look at this. Prison has turned into another part of the system, taking the essence of our young sons, and it's accepted and expected. Our sons are taken away as males and coming home as females. I would say not all of them, of course, but that has a higher probability of happening in that manner. But real quick, folks, let's just do this so we can get into the after show.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.
I'm sure, John, when you hear a comment like that, you probably maybe beg to differ. I think people should probably understand that really is a smaller percentage of people that go away to prison that come back turned up or turned out, as we should say. But I can say probably what happens more so, and I've seen it personally, is people who go away for long stints of time, they come back stuck in the same reality that they were before they went away. One brother told me a story about his homeboy who was sent up for 25 years. He came back and they met up at his house, just to chill and talk. And he said the dude sat on the floor, you know, like they did 25 years ago when they were kids before he got sent up. And it was just the thought there and the guy's conversation and everything, of course, being gone for 25 years. But nonetheless, prison is definitely part of the problem. And it's something that is an ongoing conversation about needing to be reformed. Let's see here. All right, good stuff. Shout out to you all for enjoying the show with us. But again, man, this conversation, man, is something serious when you start talking about hyper-sexualization of our nation, of people, to the point to where we don't see reality anymore. I mean, think about it. If we weren't as accepting of things, they wouldn't do it, simply because they only do what it may be someone that puts something out there with a tad bit of malice, but then if people latch on and rock with it, they keep doing it and they keep making that thing better. So for instance, filters on social media, if filters came out and people didn't use it as much, I think the first time I saw filters, really, I think, if I remember correctly, was on the phone, on the cell phone. You can take a picture and you can add filters and this, that, and the other. I know my phone automatically did it at one point. A phone that I had, it automatically had a beauty filter. And as soon as I realized what was happening, I took that thing off because I don't like filters. I'm not, I don't filter myself. I am who I am, and that's what it is. But people love filters, so now they started adding it everywhere. It's on your social media page. You can take a picture, add a picture, throw some filters on there. You can make yourself skinnier, make your face thinner. You can make your skin smoother. And what's crazy is that I've seen people where they'll sit there and use those filters so much, bro, to the point to where their real face looks totally opposite of that smooth face there. And what's happening is you see yourself in these filters so much that you're not even attacking the problem of why your face is looking the way it looks in real life. So now you're not dealing with something internally that you need to be. So once again, that creates a problem mentally, and at that point, physically. Because you're not dealing with the reason why your face has all these bumps and rough skin versus the smooth skin that you see yourself in every time you take a picture with that filter on the phone, right? So, there's a lot to be said there. Let's see, mentally institutionalized. Something to think about. So, any thoughts as we kind of jump in on this after show here? Because next week's gonna be a beast.
Well, there's two things. I think dealing with the filters and dealing with the prison thing. I would say that I like to address it from the person before they got to prison. And we don't look at that. Yes, we say that the prison make people or make men this way, but who were they before they went to prison? And it's not like somehow there's something going around rounding up the innocent kids and sitting in the prison, and then they come out messed up. Somehow something got them there in the first place. So here's what's happening. We pay attention to this. It's interesting. We think what we feel, and we feel what we think. So it becomes a cycle. So in a sense, we look at television, we see what we think, and we think what we see. And so now we just follow right along. And so now you got a child who has a problem in discerning the difference between reality and fantasy. And so the child will see these images. And listen, here's what's interesting. What's interesting is that slowly and surely, what you have is eroding of the truth and facts in this society today. So imagine now my grandchild growing up, and she has a child, maybe because she's around me, my grandchild. But imagine a child growing up, never knew nothing about fruits having seeds in it. Imagine they come across a piece of fruit and they say, "What's this?" A seed. I never heard of seed. Well, great-great-granddad said foods used to have seeds in it back then. So what's happening is that natural behavior is now being removed, and now we're getting into children accepting homosexuality, children accepting transgenders as though this is a real gender, right? That you can change your gender. We're getting into exactly what's going on with metaverse, the virtual reality world. It's easy to take us there to where reality is not what you want. You want virtual reality. You want to be able to make yourself up, and these things have nothing to do with who you are on the inside. So we run from self, and then we chase what's outer that we want to put ourselves in the image of, but we don't fix self. So it's the same thing with our sexual habit. We're allowing the virtual reality to teach our children. We are allowing the virtual reality to feed our lower desires. Listening to the music with lower desire vibration, you are only resonating what you're already thinking. So if you turn on something and you see sex, that's what you are already resonating, lower desires. So where did those lower desires come from before the television, right? So you got to address that. If you don't address that, what we're doing is we're going in a circle. And this is why us as a people, whether you want to call us black, melanated, are not able and are incapable of excelling by great numbers, because we're not understanding that the universe is only responding to your vibrational signal. That's all it's doing. It's not universe is not the life is not acting to you. Life is only responding to your signals. And so the universe is just going to give you a vibrational match of what you're doing. So wherever you are in life right now, the universe is only giving you a vibrational match. That's all it's doing. It's not giving you nothing new other than what you are sending. So if all you think is sex all day, surely you got a playhouse book around you. Surely you got something on your phone that can take you through some porno, right? You can just take sex all day long. Everywhere you turn, you see women with long lashes, booty out, and everything, because that's what you're vibrating. You're vibrating the exact same thing you want to see. You want to see you want to see butt hanging out. If that's what you want to see, turn on anywhere and you'll find it. Some men get so bored with the sex that this is why it's easier for them to have sex with men and women, and they have a woman at home because they're not attracted to the woman at home. Because why? They know how she really looks. And she ain't got all this old makeup on all the damn time. So he wants the one that's already got it on. So he'll go to the club. He'll go to the strip club. What is he's only feeding his low desires. He's not going to a business meeting. He's not going to a business seminar, right? He's not going to something that's going to uplift you or pay the bills. He's going most of the time, whether it is playing video games, watching games all the time, or watching sex or movies. You're only chasing your low desires. You're not chasing some of a higher frequency. So if you didn't have that sexual image, would that man be just as interested in you? If he's not interested in what you are capable of up here, then what you have is a sex toy. And once he get tired of having sex with you, flip you over and over again, he's tired, he gonna move to something else. Because why? You're not enticing his lower desires anymore. So no wonder why men go out and cheat on their woman. They call it cheating, or have an affair on his woman at home, because he's oversexed. He's always looking for the big booty, the bigger booty. It ain't big enough. I want a bigger booty. I want breasts standing up even taller, right? And I want lashes sticking all out of the head. And so, and makeup on, more makeup. The woman sitting beside him don't look like that, right? She wakes up, she ain't got all that on when you first see her. So therefore, you're not enticed, nor do you get even a hard on before that one looking at you. You get a hard on the one that's got the booty out that you see down the street that you can't touch. And that
you're hyper-sexualized.
Right. And then we're looking at our children. Now we're looking at other people's children. Now you got to be careful when a woman has a daughter. What kind of man you're going to have her around? You better watch it, because if he's oversexed, you better not leave your daughter with him. Right. So we have to pay attention to these things. And we're so oversexed. We're so oversexed. It's really sad. It's really kind of demonically of a sign of mental illness. Where I saw a video, and this is interesting. I saw a YouTube video of a grown man. And this young boy, he was probably in his teens. He was in his early 20s. And he was in a store. And he asked someone to hold his phone. He said, "Man, hold my phone." And he put it on camera so he can video what he was doing. So he approached an older gentleman. And he said to the older gentleman, he said, "So-and-so, you remember me?" The old man said, "You look familiar." He said, "Yeah, you molested me when I was a little boy. You don't remember that?" And he started beating up on the old man. Now, when he's beating up on the old man, he's screaming, "Why'd you do this to me?" And the old man just trying to apologize. Now, people are watching. Nobody's trying to help the old man, because the boy is actually emotional. The young man, he's a grown man now. He's actually letting out all his emotions that he was having since he was 6 years old. And now he's letting it out on this grown-ass man who molested him when he was 6 years old. We have a mental illness and we don't want to address. And so now this young boy or this young man could possibly grow up himself molesting little boys. So what happens? The cycle continues, and we don't know just the cycle.
That's the same thing with trauma from abuse. Period. I've seen it. you know, a grandmother who, you know, allowed or who was beaten by a man, and then her daughter, um, you know, in a relationship, beaten by a man, and then that woman's daughter in a relationship, beaten by a man. And at some point, you got to look at that and you have to say, okay, something ain't right, right? Somebody along the line is not, uh, stopping this cycle. The cycle continues, I've seen that, 3 generations of physical abuse by men on women in that family. It's tough when you start looking at that. Now Johnny Wakefield, she says, with the trend of BBLs, what do men really think about that? How do you all feel? Now I'm with Frank on that. BBLs question mark. I don't know what that means. Big booty lovers. The trend of big booty lovers. What do you men really think about that? You're gonna have to explain what BBLs means, Johnny.
What does BBL mean, Johnny? I need to know that.
Yeah.
BBL.
And let's see. We have to build a foundation that's not a delusion, that's got red flag. Brazilian butt lift. Okay. All right. Brazilian butt lift.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. And so and they call it that because in Brazil, see, here's the weird thing. Brazilian women have always been naturally big bootied. Like that was a natural thing. And then, through the years, as I don't know, as things changed or what, but they that Brazilian butt lift became a thing, right? Because they're doing it over there.
I think that's a misinterpretation. Brazilian women didn't create the big butt. It was already naturally in melanated women everywhere. And so you have other people who are mixed, white people all the way down, who are trying to get the melanated butt. We just happen to call it Brazilian booty lift. There's an African booty lift. There's it's just a name for it. But women naturally have that type of shape of behind. And unfortunately, it was the Europeans who was excited about the butt, not African people. African people was never that crazy about big butts because we see it. We seen it in our mothers. We grew up around it. It is no different than if you look at some African tribes, where some African tribes, women wore less clothes. In fact, they didn't wear hardly any clothes at all. Breast was out and booty was out. And you didn't see the young boys and even the men going around hounding over with his tongue out when he see his mother or his native individual in the village walk past them. See, so it was the Europeans when he came and stumbled upon these women, right? He was excited, right, about it, right. And so now we have taken on his disease. Because actually the big booty wasn't a sexual attraction. In some African culture, rolls of the necks are sexual attraction. In other African culture, the feet is a sexual attractive. So we have taken on, and think about it, we have taken on the Eurocentric views of our women. And that becomes the problem because there are certain cultures, there's a lot of cultures in Africa, women could walk around today in that dress and get raped. Where back in her own village, it wasn't a sexual thing. It wasn't a turn on for the men to want to have sex just because her butt was out. So again, we are really, like she mentioned, delusional. We are really at a stage to where we are so oversexed that we're doing it to ourselves and we don't even see this behavior that we are really harming our own people.
Which is interesting because we don't go out. Most men don't go after that to make that their wife.
Correct.
They don't. They go after that for some playtime.
Correct.
And now, and I look at how the female rappers are now. It's accepted to just allow that playtime so that you can get something from that man. So now it's okay to just be that play, that side piece, and whatnot, because you getting something, you getting some money, you getting whatever from that man. And so now, again, the cycle continues, and we move forward with the idea that it's okay to put that image out there, that fake image, because in the mainstream media, and again, the powers that be, they're gonna let us continue to create our own demise. They're gonna allow us to continue to do that, because again, we're walking around sick in the head and don't even realize it, because we normalize the sickness. It's a continued cycle. I would say that cutting off the TV and cutting off mainstream radio would be, if you're not one that to me can understand the difference. I look at things as entertainment and things of that nature, and there's plenty of us out here that can look at things and say, okay, this goes into the entertainment box, and that's it. But that's not their everyday. That's not their normal. That's like having a treat or something, right? But most people out here are not like that. Most people out here, they look at that, they hear the rap songs, and all of a sudden they want to be a trap girl. All of a sudden they want to be a city girl. All of a sudden they want to do this, that, and the other. You look at Little Kim, turn her face into an animal. You look at Michael Jackson, turn his face into an animal. Go from, I mean, Little Kim, and I'm sorry to be picking on her, but good Lord, that girl, if you look at any images of before and now, that she looks like an alien from another planet, and when she jumping on stage doing like this, I get scared when I see her on stage. I'm like, oh God, who's going to attack first?
Man, and she was absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful.
Man.
Beautiful, and it's just crazy when you look at that. Now she's jumping on stage, Little Kim, and I'm like, because I hate to be down there in the audience and whatnot, afraid that she's gonna bite. But it's a thing, man, and it's kind of crazy when you look at it, how one thing leads to another and then to another. I believe that literally when it came time for this metaverse universe thing, I believe somebody in a dark room somewhere sat down with other people and said, it's time. I think that they knew they was going to do this for a long time. They were going to create this fake universe for a long time. Why do I believe that? Look at every futuristic movie. We've already been doing this stuff in futuristic movies. They've been creating, this stuff was already there. So if the thought was there in that futuristic movie, guess what that means? That means somebody had the idea in their head. The idea came from somewhere. So when you really think about that, man, it's just interesting how that goes. And
there's always been an idea to escape reality. If you don't like what you see, you can escape this reality into something else. This is why alcohol and drugs are so popular. People who get high every day, you ain't trying to so much as medicate yourself. You actually trying to escape. There's some place you're trying to go that you don't like that's here. And this is what's happening with the virtual world. It's just a way to escape, right? And so, of course, money's in it, because we see people spending hours playing video games instead of being in the real world, right? Like the sister mentioned, when I grew up, we was outside. You rode a bike. There was no video games like it is now, right? We were out getting the sun. We were out playing in the grass. We were out playing football, basketball. Now you have the video games, and you have grown men who really have not asserted themselves financially, right? And economically, and work ethically. Instead, will spend hours on a video game instead of doing some research, reading a book, studying something that can enhance you and make you a better human being. And I think that becomes something that we are already being trained and groomed towards this virtual reality for people, for those of you who do not like your reality. Don't like it? Guess what? We can shoot you up. Don't like that? Guess what? You can put these glasses on and imagine you somebody else. Don't like that? Don't like that you have to change your diet and eat better? Check this out. Put these glasses on and you can be what you want to be right now without any work. And that's where we are. And that sells.
Yeah, man. It's interesting when you really think about all of that, man. I tell you, I think the only answer would be literally to turn the TV off, turn the radio off, and find ways to live your life. You know, people should detox for a week, you know, and just no mainstream news and radio, no mainstream, you know, TV, and just see how life goes.
Here's why that's very hard for the word that's called entertainment. You see, what we do is we justify it through the word, well, I'm just being entertained. No, you're not just being entertained, you're being indoctrinated. You don't know that inside that entertainment, there are all types of images that they are feeding you other than for your laughter and your amusement that they're going to give you. There are images in the back of the movie. You know, any director, any person that makes a movie, pay attention to not only the word games, because words are spells, pay attention to the images in the background of the movie. Every image is placed there for a reason. Listen to this. You ever watched, since you mentioned Charlamagne the God, you ever watched The Breakfast Club? Look at any of the Breakfast Club episodes and look at the images that are setting right behind the guests. What do you see? I'm going to tell you what you're going to look at when you look at that. You're going to see liquor bottles. You're going to see a gay flag, right? You're going to see all these little images that are going inside your subconscious. And you may say, well, what does that mean? I don't drink. You don't know that those images play a role. That's why they put it back there. It's called one thing marketing, but it's also called subliminal messages. Then go do this. Go dig up minister. You can go look at all the videos with the Breakfast Club and look at the images that are sitting on the shelf behind guests. Go look at the images. Now do this. Go Google Minister Farrakhan's interview on the Breakfast Club and look at the images that are behind Farrakhan. You will see that Farrakhan's people made sure that they removed all the liquor bottles and the gay flag and everything from behind the minister. And they placed up there the minister's books, or maybe a placed up there of how to eat to live. You will see different images that they placed up there because the minister said, don't put these images behind me, because he saw it. Most people don't see that who are guests on the show. They don't see that they're using you to support and push the images that are setting back, even though they're getting paid for it. We fail to recognize subliminal messages because we really never studied marketing. Marketing is psychology. This is why you see billboards on the highway. You see billboards and images. This is why you see commercials popping up in your face everywhere, whether you're on YouTube or television. These are images. And you may say, well, what does that mean? What it means is that you are allowing them to plant subliminal messages in your subconscious mind, whether you know it or not. And it becomes okay with you. But then when you look at your behavior and the way you act, it is a combination of things that was placed in your head that you did not know. That's why you can go and Google when subliminal messages was banned in movies in America. Go Google it. You'll see it was banned in 1950. What does that mean? What that means is that they was using clips, little frames in the middle of the movie, or in the quarter end of the movie, or in the beginning of the movie while the movie was going on, of a scene you didn't see. And that scene was an image, real quick. And it was placed, and your subconscious saw it, but you didn't see it with your eyes. Your subconscious saw it. Now you got popcorn in your brain because the popcorn image popped up, and now you have a craving for popcorn. If you don't understand how this works, then this is why our people are lost. because we're not understanding how they are subconsciously giving us these vibrations, and then we think it, and then it appears in front of us. If we don't understand that, then they got us under their spell, and we don't have a clue how to come off from up under it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that is that's definitely what's going on. And you know what? And I think, at the same time, man, people do understand it, but they don't care.
It's like sugar, Joe. People understand that sugar is bad for you, but they keep eating the sugar. They don't want to read the labels and say, hey, sugar, I'm going to stay away from that. It's the same thing. They be damn, who in the hell right now today hasn't heard sugar's bad for you? And who in the hell, raise your hand, how many people actually pay attention to their sugar intake? There it is, right? Sugar's so powerful that it's got people, regardless of how much you want to think about health, you don't want to think about the sugar intake.
Yeah. And I would say that, I mean, man, when you're doing something bad, you should be thinking of how to counteract that. If you ain't going to jump full-fledged into health and wellness, then at least learn how to counteract some of the things that you're doing to yourself. I mean, you're going to eat something that ain't that great. Well, drink some water, instead of drinking Kool-Aid with it. If you go, you know what I mean? And it's the same thought when I'm talking about the COVID. If you're not going to take the shot, then the least you could do is focus on your health and wellness. If you're one that believes, okay, that this is something with an ulterior motive, okay, I get it, but you better be doing something for your health and wellness. I know somebody who their family member didn't, they said, hey, this is a serious governmental thing. I don't believe in it, blah, blah, blah. Right. But at the same time, it's a heavy chain smoker. You know what I mean? Heavy chain smoker. And, they caught COVID and died. Right. At least that's what the family was told that this person died from, right? Was COVID. They probably had lung disease anyway. They probably had emphysema anyway, just undiagnosed, right? But again, if you're going to do something as it pertains to, you're going to do something negative, at least counteract it with some positive. You know what I mean? That's the least you could do for yourself. But yet and still, man, we have a society today that doesn't care as much because technology has created a certain level of convenience for you. So you're not going to get up and make, yesterday I had a choice in making waffles to make them from scratch or to use a boxed waffle. I never made waffle batter from scratch. So yesterday I did it, made waffle batter for the first time from scratch. And now in learning how to do it, I was able to use a milk substitute. I was able to use a flour substitute, so it can be done. And now I could do it at the snap of a fingers and do it real easy. Why? Because I cared enough about myself and the people around me to go ahead and incorporate a certain level of nutrition, right? So, it's something to think about as to why people don't care enough to do that. But, work. Either way, man, we can.
Takes work and reading and studying. Work. Just give me the box, man. Just give me the box. Let me mix my milk and an egg and stir it up and pour it. Man, our mamas cooked from scratch. I watched my mama cook. That's why I love cooking. I prefer not to eat anyone else's food at restaurants and stuff because I don't know the energies. As much as I can, I try my best. But watching my mama cook from scratch, man, putting it together from the beginning, it took work, but it's where it's at. Like I said, we're living in a microwave society. We want everything fast now. Give it to me now. We don't even want to We don't even want to work up the sex. We just want it right now. Give me a pill. Let me get my thing on hard. Let me get it in. And this is why sex pills sell so much in regular stores. It's crazy. Nobody wants to really create a relationship that's about real substance. Instead, we want the microwave sex. Just get it in, get it over with. Let me move on.
Yeah, man, it's hard out here,
Yeah,
but then it really isn't.
I know it. but definitely the show was a great show here. We touched on. I think it was great information. Basically dealing with our mindset. Are we really that ashamed of ourselves that we have to sexualize every damn thing, even the hard ass movies, to learn something? Some men are just stuck on stupid. The ones who said that that they learned something from watching the movie only because they made it sexy. I don't know how dumb that shit can be, but
it just shows that in order to get you to learn, it's got to be sexy.
I had to criticize that the individuals who said that, you one dumbass person that think that you have to be sexualized first before you can learn of characters you never knew about. I just say, how dumb is that statement? But nevertheless, that's the problem. That's the problem we have in this society. Now, this is the problem we have with our women because of the men that's making them statements of this quote unquote, what is beauty and the standard of beauty. And no wonder our women are so confused. It's no wonder our young girls are gyrating at young age, listening to filthy music, and women are running around putting all kind of cake on their face. They're trying to be attractive based on what? Hollywood. And shame on us for pushing that narrative.
Yeah, man, it's quite terrible.
Yep.
But you know what? Next week's show, man, we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna talk about some of this trauma because some of this, as you just spoke about, the women gyrating and listening to filthy music, and how easily that music can get them in a mode or a mindset. And then you couple it with some alcohol out at the club, and all of a sudden, she's got a man at home, but she's got another man's penis all up on her booty out at the club, being the world's greatest display of the worst wife ever.
I doubt he has a man at home. I'd have to say he probably have a woman at home, but I doubt that woman has a man at home. She may have a little boy at home, but if she had a man, that man would not allow her to come out the house and go out to a club shaking her booty looking like that. I'm sure a man wasn't. A little boy would, but not a man.
Absolutely. And but that's even if he knows what she's doing. Right. That's a whole other conversation. And you know what, that's a topic in and of itself, man. When it comes to relationships, what is allowed, or what is problematic when it comes to the wife going out hanging with her girlfriends, and what she does and doesn't do out there with her girlfriends. I think a married woman, or a woman trying to be in a wholesome relationship, having single women that want to be hot girl summers and all that other stuff, I think that's a problem in and of itself, because now you're dealing with a woman in a trying to be in a wholesome relationship, and her girlfriends are out there just being little thotties, and her living vicariously through them until one day she ends up acting it out. But that's a whole other topic in and of itself, man. Next week, I can't wait. We next week are gonna have the sex therapist on. She's a family relationship counselor, certified sex therapist, and she will be on with us, and we're going to have a great conversation, and cannot wait until because there's some trauma that we're going to talk about. So, shout out to that, and you guys tune in to next week's show. Any last words? About to bounce, bro.
Last words. Let me say again for those who are listening, if you are in resistance, keep staying in resistance. This matter is being tuned up all the time. And so stay healthy and in abundance of wealth. Stay focused and change your frequency.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just the same, folks, if it's not uplifting you, then it's probably not for you. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Until next week, we'll see you same place, same time, right here at the Tipping Point Morning Show. You guys get a chance, check out the Tipping Point Morning Show on Instagram. Go ahead and give us a like there. You can hit up Esoteric Concepts on Instagram. Give us a like there. Just the same, folks. We will see you next week. Peace.
Peace.